It'd be hard to see. Hi, I'm Dennis Neubacher. This is Facebook Live on WWJ. We sure appreciate you looking in as you do all the time when we do the Facebook Lives, but also tuning in every day to News Radio 950 WWJ, morning anchor. And we do the Facebook Lives to kind of bring you up to date on things that are happening around town. We appreciate you sharing this information. We're downriver along I-75 where this project is continuing to expand. The one that you know is in progress along the Rouge River Bridge is now going to be extended a little bit farther south. But before we get to that, if you have any comments, please let us know. If you have any questions, Bill Urban and Diane Cross from the Michigan Department of Transportation here standing with me. We're right along I-75. They're going to tell us exactly where we are and what they're planning on doing here. So why don't we start? What do you want to start, Diane? Should I start with Bill or with you? All right, Bill, how about it? What's going on here along I-75?
We're standing on the northbound side of I-75. It's a series of bridges. One's over Goddard, one's over the Sexton Kilfoyle drain immediately north of Goddard. That's what this is right down here. The drain actually comes underneath I-75 and then goes parallel with I-75 in a serpentine fashion and then out to the east down that way. So we are right here adjacent to the bridge over the Sexton Kilfoyle drain.
Now this project, you first started with I-75 farther north, right, in the southwest side of Detroit to rebuild the Rouge River Bridge, and you've transferred traffic over to the other side of the freeway, this new freeway that you built, the bridge over I-75. You're doing the northbound side, but in the process of doing this, it sounds like you've added some other things. Is this part of that initial project, or is this the additional project that now we're going to be diverting around as this springtime comes?
Well, this is the south end of the initial project. So the same thing is going on here at Goddard in the Sexton Kilfoyle drain that's going on up at the Rouge. We've completed the southbound side of the bridge, and now we have northbound traffic on the southbound side of both bridges. Now there's this latest phase is 11 bridges to the south of here, North Line, Eureka. There's a bridge over the connector. There's a drain bridge. There's a railroad bridge in Allen. We're going to do bridge rehabilitation work, probably a little bit less in scope than what you see here and at the Rouge, but just as important to the south. We're widening and putting new bridge decks on a number of the bridges, and then we're putting a new surface on others.
Now, this is interesting. You mentioned as I was walking up, I heard this. This is very cool. Because of the spawning of the fish in this creek right here, this little river, you've had to do something to plan for that. What have you done here in this project to plan for the spawning of the fish that are coming? Obviously, they're going to be spawning here in the next couple of months.
They've got to get all the work has to get out of the drain April 1st when the spawning begins. The spawning season begins. But right now, the drain is contained in a pipe, and they're allowed to work in the creek bed. But as of April 1st, out of the creek bed.
Fascinating process. You take all these things into consideration when you're doing these projects, obviously. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a whole environmental survey that goes on before, and this is one of the components. Don't damage the prospects of the spawning fish.
And I'm going to step over here and talk to Diane now. I want Diane, if you don't mind, do the whole overview of this project. What happened first, what's happening coming up here soon, okay?
Well, when you say what happens first, let's do from the north end. Actually, a little bit further north, between Clark and Springwells, we've been replacing the concrete there. We've kept one lane open and moved that around while we're doing that. But that's also part of this project as well, the replacement of that concrete up there, both north and southbound between Clark and Springwells.
Stop at that point, because I want to ask you a question. The new Gordie Howe International Bridge, they're going to break ground for it sounds like, hopefully in June, and start building in September. That's the word now. Are you planning work on I-75 now because of that, or is this in lieu of that?
It's coordinated. The fact that the concrete already was in need of repair, and knowing full well that work would be needed for that bridge, and unfortunately I can't speak about that bridge, but part of that project is to do underground work for the Gordie Howe with the sewer system. So as long as we already had the concrete coming out, it would be logical, time saver for our taxpayers, money saver, to do the work at the same time. So that is going on at that north end. Then between Springwells and the Rouge River Bridge, both directions, all that concrete has been removed on the southbound side. Northbound, it's going to be happening this year. Then down here at Goddard, we are rebuilding the bridges that were here initially, so they've come down and going back up. The northbound one, the southbound one was already rebuilt. We're working here. What you're looking at is the northbound bridge. And then further south is where the next phase is going to happen, which is why we appreciate you letting people know they are not going to be able to get on at Northline Allen, which is the current entry point. Starting next week, the week of 2-5, right, Bill, is when they start bringing in
Officially 212, but they're going to start moving in on 2-5, right?
Pardon me. Equipment comes in 2-5. 212, as of that Monday, drivers are not going to be able to get on at Northline nor Allen, which both technically are Allen Road, but a lot of people enter that little ramp from Northline. They're also not going to be able to get on at Eureka. So you either stay on Allen, go down to Sibley, which will be the first point where you can get in on the Dix-Toledo-Sibley entry. We are asking traffic, though, to be detoured over toward Telegraph. Southbound US 24, the connector that leads onto I-75 brings you right in at Sibley.
It looks like a lot of folks also go out to I-275 and even as far west as 23, I notice as well, to kind of spread out the traffic. And if you're headed south for a truck traffic, they could use 23 conceivably.
That actually is our official detour. That as you're coming out of Detroit, you take West 96, which is a very large freeway, can handle the extra volume, out to 275 south to head back down toward Monroe to get on I-75. And obviously trucks, that is a logical choice. Those who are local that live around here, we know they're not going to follow that detour. So that's why if you are going to be local in this area, US 24 is your best way to get onto southbound 75. You just stay on Telegraph and it leads you right to it.
Okay, how about, should I talk to Bill about the timetable, about how this is all going to play out? And then when you think, Bill, this is all going to be done, what's your, if you looked in your crystal ball, what do you think is going to happen here?
Let's talk about two dates. The southbound freeway, we're looking around mid-August to open that up, and then the northbound freeway, October, to open it up.
So, okay, and then anything else that has to be patched up after that will be completed next year, or should be all done?
It should be all done. Should be all wrapped up. Certainly, we're trying to get the southbound traffic back onto southbound I-75, so that's the primary focus.
How do you like what you're seeing so far? Is the project coming along as planned? Are you ahead of the schedule? Are you behind? What do you think right now?
I think we're on schedule, and we're doing well, and we've got a number of contractors working together in concert, and so I think things are going quite well.
How about some comments also from our viewers that are watching Facebook Live? If you have any comments, you live down here, what do you think? Have you been able to get around this construction? Are you having any trouble with this? Any questions you might have for Diane or Bill about this project? Any suggestions they might have? I don't know that they can really plug that in, Diane, but, it's kind of a tough time right now. You already have a timetable, I know, that you both are on, the whole project.
Well, the suggestion really is that people have to pay attention. They need to listen to WWJ, follow MDOT on our Twitter account at Metro Detroit _ MDOT _ Metro DET, which is where we let people know when we're closing things. One thing, starting the 12th, when we do move you down to the entry point, being down at US 24 Telegraph Sibley area, is we're going to also at some point start northbound, taking that down to 2 lanes. Right now it's 3, taking it down to 2, because for that same bridge work, we need to have access from the northbound side.
And that's 212. That means a week from Monday, right?
Correct.
Any other things that are going on I-75 down here? Once this is done, okay, let me ask guess. Once this project is done here, will you continue to move farther south along I-75? Is that the plan, or what will you be doing any further south here? Or is this it for when you're done with this project?
A break. So once we finish here, we should be fairly complete here in this section here. So no other plans moving to the south from here.
Now, while I got you, Diane, go ahead.
One thing to that. Here in our, Bill and I cover the area that's called Metro. It's Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb County. So he's talking about in Wayne County we don't have anything else. But drivers who use 75 are probably very familiar in Monroe, which falls under our university region. There's been a major project on 75 between roughly the 275 area to the borderline, like a 20-year project, and they've been working there the last couple of years. So I know work will continue somewhere along that stretch this summer as well.
Okay, anything you can bring us up to date on what's been going on now with the latest with I-696? I know there's been a little bit of consternation about some of the breakup of the pavement. A lot of the potholes are showing up. You knew that was going to happen. I know Alan Ostrowski was talking about that. He knew that was going to happen, but it's happening a little bit faster. Apparently you had a meeting yesterday, was it? Can you allude to what you're thinking about with this, or are we still on the same timetable toward the end of April, at the beginning of May, to rebuild westbound 696 and then, of course, do the patchwork?
Let me back up your question just a little bit. The plans for when we knew we were going to begin, which obviously a lot of construction doesn't begin until the spring because of the weather. The onslaught of crumbling concrete, we've had that freeze-thaw cycle so much in February that we don't normally see until the spring, which is why suddenly in the spring when the temperatures get warmer, all the potholes pop up. We've had so many days of warmer temperature that those potholes have been popping up now, making a roadway that was already in rough shape much worse. From that meeting yesterday, some ideas are coming out. I'm going to announce in the next day or so some of the different types of things we're going to try in the different locations, and by then I'll be able to have a little better schedule. We're also expecting snow, though, in the next couple days. That's going to be a big issue. And the very crews are out there doing the pothole filling are also going to be doing the snow plowing and assaulting, that type of thing. So they're kind of working around the clock. What we are doing starting today is we're extending the hours that we're going to allow the crews to be out there patching. Normally we only do 9 to 3 because that's what we consider midday.
It could encroach upon the rush hour is what we're talking about.
It is going to encroach. In fact, I believe Oakland County may have been out as early as 8 a.m., which does affect a lot of drivers. So we're going to be blocking lanes for more hours a day, affecting more thousands of drivers, but I'm sure everybody's going to understand, especially those that have been affected by the crashes they've been in.
I think George has somebody. George Fox. Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay, let's go one more time. What parts of 75 are? You want to talk about it, Bill? What's affected?
The detour goes all the way from up at I-96 down to the connector with Telegraph Road. So that whole section of southbound I-75 is closed while northbound traffic is maintained on the newly completed half of the bridge.
Okay, Brian, I hope that answers your question. That's a great question. That's fantastic. Okay, so I saw the patching crews. They were out earlier this morning. So that makes sense. That has to be done. It's going to encroach upon the rush hour, but there's patchwork that needs to be done. So there's an MDOT call line that they can pass along information about potholes. Have you been getting a lot of phone calls?
Our pothole line is statewide, and it goes into our Lansing office. And I apologize, off the top of my head, I don't recall what it is, but you can find it at michigan.gov and search pothole, and it'll bring up the number. And then the folks in Lansing, they disperse it way across the state to our offices that handle the maintenance for that area. And you can imagine it's ringing off the hook. We get emails constantly throughout the day, phone calls to our local offices as well. But when we talk about crumbling infrastructure, 696 is the example of that actually happening. We've been putting Band-Aids on these areas that need surgery for years. So we have to try to keep it together until the spring when we replace all the concrete in Macomb. Although even that, we're going to be out there patching because just once you start doesn't instantly, replace all that concrete. They'll continue patching east and west the entire stretch of 696, even as we rebuild parts of it.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing, Diane. And Bill Urban, thank you very much for the project that you're doing down here to improve the roads for us. We're along I-75 Fisher Freeway. We're near Goddard and North Line. You can see all the activity here. George is showing a lot of that. You can hear all the traffic going by. It's been very interesting to watch. You can see how much traffic comes up and uses this. A lot of truck traffic. This is a busy place going to the Ambassador Bridge. I know that. This is going to be very busy. And you can look down to where the drain is, where George is looking right now, get an idea what the project is. This is how extensive this is. You've got a lot of coordination to do, don't you, Bill?
Yeah, there's crews at Goddard, there's crews here at the drain, and then there's crews up at the Rouge and 4th Street, and then now a whole other crew starting south of here at Eureka in North Line.
Well, I think it's important to, while we talk about this too, how important it is to note the people effort that's involved, the coordination. We're all human. We all don't want this necessarily to happen because it interferes with our daily flow. We don't want that to happen, but it has to happen because if not, we don't have any roads we can drive on, right?
We either close the roads to fix them or we close the roads because they wouldn't be safe. Can I point out to you, if you can see, if
George can look down here.
You see that big tube down there and the flat surface with the black netting on it, that's the creek. That's the creek. The water is being pumped through that tube so that we can work on the road. I had never seen something like that. It is pretty darn cool to think the entire creek is just running through that little tube.
Well, I'm wondering what kind of fish breed in this river here too. I would think the bass, panfish, some of the other ones as well. Yeah.
That's called articulated concrete block, and it's to prevent erosion. So it'll be put up against the bridge, so when the creek is opened up, it won't erode away the soil adjacent to the bridge.
Now, any other questions or comments at all, George, that have come in?
Someone was asking why don't you patch between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m.?
Okay, why don't you patch between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m.?
For many, many reasons. Number one is we want everyone home every night. Think how dangerous it is. In fact, it is more dangerous to do road work during the overnight hours when traffic is lighter because people go faster. That's when you've got drivers under the influence, those who are not looking for people who are out there risking their lives to work there. It is much safer for the crews. Plus, it's much more expensive to work at night. Bill, I don't know if you can reference, what do they need at night to work? Maybe the big giant lights, more trucks?
A huge light plant to illuminate the area of work. Plus, it's tough to get as quality a job on construction at night. I mean, we do it. It's just tougher to see.
Very good. Well, answers that question. That's a very good question, and thank you for the question, too, George. Anybody else? Everybody in good shape? Okay, thanks so much. We thank you for looking in. Diane Cross, Bill Urban, thank you so much. Appreciate this. Been fun to come up here, being part of the construction. We have a truck driver that's been waiting for us. We can wave to him. Thanks a lot for his patience and all the workers along here. Thank you for all their work and all the effort. We thank you for looking in on Facebook Live. Thank you for watching WWJ, listening to WWJ News Radio 950. Look forward to talking with you tomorrow morning for traffic with Roberta and Tom. But don't forget, you've got Tracy McGaskill during the midday, KT, Lance, all sorts of folks that are on during the weekend at all. Constant 24-hour traffic center. We hope we satisfy you. If not, let us know at 248-4236 WWJ. 248-4236 WWJ. From I-75 downriver, love this place. I'm from Dearborn. Downriver area is like home for me. Say hello to this great area. I-75 near Goddard and North Line. We thank you. Thank Bill Urban and Diane Cross from the Michigan Department of Transportation. We thank you for looking in on Facebook Live on WWJ News Radio 950. We'll see you next time.